Hello and welcome to Mostly Sapphic Books, where I am on a mission to read every single book about lesbians. Recently, I read You Should Have Been Nicer to My Mom by Vincent Tirado. This was on my list of most anticipated sapphic books of 2026, and it should not have been. It is not gay. This is a whole ensemble cast, not a single dyke in the lot. Obviously, I found this book before it came out, and before anyone had really read it and reviewed it or anything, and I swear to God this was tagged lesbians on Goodreads at some point. It is not now, because it's not about lesbians, but I swear it was, and I think that might have just been some kind of miscommunication, mislabeling, because this author is queer and does have some other books that are about queer women. So I think maybe someone just assumed that this was also about lesbians, and it wasn't. Not one dyke. Turns out that sometimes the internet has misinformation, and then sometimes you repeat it accidentally. Many such cases. However, that was not the most disappointing thing about this book. The most disappointing thing about this book was that it was boring and kinda bad. So this book was not queer, but I read it, so let's review it anyway. I'm gonna be honest. I was reading this on audiobook, and it was pretty boring for a lot of this. It picks up towards the end. I got a little more invested around the 60% mark, which is when things start happening. But I was tuning in and out sometimes a little bit for the first half of this audiobook. So I'm not gonna really go over plot details and character intricacies because I was not paying the most attention in the world. So maybe you should potentially just not listen to anything I say, but I had some I think I had some valid points. I was mostly paying attention, and therefore I have some valid critiques, I think. But if you do just turn off the video, I respect that, that's fine. So a brief plot recap here. We have a rich family. Their rich patriarch has just died. All of the relatives come together in this house for the will reading. The will says that someone in this house is a demon, and you have to kill them in the next 12 hours. Or else the whole family is damned, and presumably no one gets their inheritance or whatever, I don't know. The will doesn't really mention the inheritance much at all, or I forgot. It's possible I forgot. It doesn't matter. Spoiler alert. Our point of view character is the granddaughter who really liked this grandpa. He was a nice man, he's rich, but he was charitable. He was a pastor and an exorcist, but apparently he made a deal with a demon, as one does, and it's his fault that this family is haunted by this demon. But again, our point of view character is this granddaughter who does not speak to this family. Hasn't really in years since her mom died. This is her mom's family, but they were all dick bags to her mom. So these are all really shallow rich people who are bad people in really shallow ways. One of them is a preacher. He's abusing women. Who could have seen that coming? One of these women runs a makeup MLM scheme, and oh no, the face masks give people chemical burns. Who could have seen that coming? One of them was in a hit and run. One of them was given a TV show, and then she had some viral moment, and then they made a TV show about her, but they didn't cast her, and so she was mad that they cast Sofia Vergara instead of her to be her in the movie. It doesn't, whatever. All these people are rich, shallow people. There's a maid here named Naomi, who's the daughter of the old maid who also died. They treat her really poorly. There's some interesting commentary here about Haitians versus Dominicans and their sort of cultural beef that I'm not aware of as an incredibly white person. So that's interesting. I did like that aspect. I like Naomi's character. Naomi's the best character in this. She works for this family, not really the family, she worked for the grandfather. She was sort of his homemaid in his final months because he was senile and needed help. And her mother was also the maid here and faced a lot of discrimination. But now this family has come into this house for this will reading, and they sort of treat her like she works for them when she doesn't, and they really treat her as just the help. The only person who's remotely nice to her is our main character, Shiomara. I thought maybe they would be gay. No one's gay in this. I thought the relationship was gonna be between Naomi and Shiomara. It doesn't matter. It's not. But whatever. All of these characters are flat except for Naomi. And even Shiomara is flat. And it's told in third person, which I don't mind. But, like, in this specific instance, it's very, like, there's such a distance from the character that you just don't really give a fuck about Shiomara, and you don't feel her resentment towards this family. I don't think this book is very well written, because it's not the limited perspective that's putting a distance between, like, what this character says and, like, how we actually feel about her. It's the bad writing. So Shiomara hates all of these people because they're just, like, gossips. The book title is You Should Have Been Nicer to My Mom, which sounds really ominous and like a horror novel. This feels, or it sounds almost like a revenge kind of story. And it's not. It's like, oh man, my grandpa died. I gotta go see my family, my stupid family that I don't like, 'cause they're all just like gossips. And they would just like gossip about her mom. Like the things they did to her mom were like not that bad. Especially like in the beginning. We learned some family secrets that are like worse, but really her beef with these people is that like her mom went to the hospital for like a hernia, and her sisters were like, oh, she's getting STD testing because she's cheating on her husband. And the kid's like, that's not fucking true. Like, why are you spreading rumors about my mom? So it's like really kind of petty rich people gossip beef. It's kind of dumb, to be honest. And it's the first thing we learn about these people, is that she doesn't like them because they're gossips. They're shallow gossips. And she just tells us that. This book is very telly. There's a lot of passages that are just like, this is this person, and their backstory, and this thing about them, and this is how they are, and this is this person, and their backstory, and this is how we are, and it just kind of tells you the information. I guess it's worse in the beginning when you're like setting up and you're introducing these characters, but really it's just telling you a lot of things, and this whole book takes place in one night, in one house, with a pretty small cast of characters, and so like we should have seen their personalities in more interesting ways than this, like in the way they react to things, and we don't. The book just kind of tells you what their backstory is, and it's very sort of impersonal and like not affecting, and we already know them as shallow people, and so when they get exposed for like the preachers assaulting women, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm sure he is. That's not surprising in the least. That's not a big twist. It's not really a revelation. I don't care about that guy. He has no redeeming qualities. None of these people really have any redeeming qualities, so you just like don't really give a fuck that all these bad things are happening to them. But weirdly, our main character also doesn't really give a fuck that all of these bad things are happening to them. So they get in the house, and they learn that one of them is apparently a demon. And then all of these terrible things start happening. Like, all of this drama comes out about them very publicly, because they're a rich family. Everyone in this area sort of knows who they are. The assault allegations with the uncle come out. The one story about the one lady's hit and run. I forget which people are like cousins and aunts. It doesn't fucking matter. None of these people are interesting. Someone's gave $50,000 to a scam AI boyfriend catfisher. Like all of these things like keep coming out. There's like event after event after event that like exposes all of these people for being terrible frauds. And our main character's just like not really reacting to that. She doesn't really have strong emotional reactions to anything. She's just kind of there. And I wasn't expecting that, because the first chapter, like the first thing you learn is like, I don't like these people. You know, they were mean to my mom, and I don't talk to them. And there's reasons I don't talk to them, and I don't like them. And so I thought at least his character would be, you know, like Schadenfreude, like watching this all crash and burn around them and being like, yeah, you deserve it. I hate that guy. Fuck him. I hope he goes to jail for assaulting those women. Instead, she's just like, whatever. Doesn't care at all, which is just not very interesting. It's kind of like she's just watching this stuff happen to a stranger and not really caring on any personal level, which kind of makes sense, because like these people are strangers to her. She hasn't seen them in years since her mom died. But there's like these weird contradictions in the writing where like she'll learn something about all these people. All these people's secrets keep getting exposed. And like on the fourth secret, it's like the fourth one, where one of the cousins is like, I had to drop out of school because I failed. And she's like, you had to drop out of school? That's great. How come I didn't know that? And it's like, it's because you haven't talked to any of these people in years. Like, why would you know that? She seems like surprised that she doesn't know things about people that she doesn't talk to. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Or she learns that the uncle's been accused of all these things, and she's like, really? I don't know. Like, I used to go to his house all the time as a kid, and like, he was pretty nice. I guess he just mostly ignored me and didn't really care about me, but like, I didn't expect that out of him. It's almost not really defending him, but like, I don't know. If I hated my uncle, I'd be like, yeah, I believe that woman. I don't need proof. Maybe you need proof, but like, I'd be like, you know what? Maybe he did do it. I'd be on that woman's side like really hard, you know? I'd be more inclined to believe allegations against someone I don't like. And instead she's hearing these things and it's just like, wow, I didn't expect that. Or I don't know. I wanted more punch. This is supposed to be a horror novel. Not a lot of horror elements, by the way. That's another complaint. It's mostly a bunch of dumb family drama that's like really shallow and been done before. The preacher assaults women. Who could have guessed? Who could have guessed that the woman in the MLM scheme is selling bad products? Wow. Never been done before. So if you're gonna go family drama, like fucking go for it. There's a couple scenes where like people do like get into fights. That's kind of fun. There's a little bit more of that towards the end. But like I wanted to see our main character be like, fuck these bitches. I even thought it might be a twist where we get the reveal that our main character has like secretly been planting this. Because they expect someone in the family as an informant and is releasing all of this information about them. And I thought maybe it would be our main character. And like she's playing it cool, like, no, it's not me. I haven't talked to you guys in years. But secretly she's been tracking them for years. And now that she's finally seeing them, she wants to fucking rub it in their faces that they suck. That didn't happen. It was the maid. Sorry for spoilers, but like I'm not recommending this book, so I don't know. It was the maid. You can guess some things about the maid. I found a lot of the twists in this kind of predictable. I didn't get like all of them, but like I got a few of them. I got that the maid was the daughter of the grandpa and that he had slept with the dead maid and that was his daughter and that's why she was here and like why she was in the will. And then I kind of guessed. I had 3 guesses who the demon was, and that was either our main character or Naomi the maid or the fucking will guy. Because the guy who reads the will, like the attorney, is not the usual attorney. It's his son, allegedly. But like the attorney had a stroke conveniently today, and so he couldn't come, and so it was the weird son. It was him. It was the attorney. He wasn't my main suspect, but like he was kind of a suspect. I knew it wasn't like any. It was just like, I don't know, the evil preacher. Like that's too fucking obvious. Like it had to be someone, either our main character or outside of the family, because you're expecting it to be one of the family members. I think technically like the language of the will is like someone in this house. And like who's in the house? Oh, you would think the family. But also the guy reading the will. And the maid. Okay. Also, when they read the will says, there's a demon in the family. You have to murder them. You have to find and murder them, or the entire family will be damned. No strong reactions anyway about this. And you'd expect some kind of strong reaction in a lot of different ways. There's a lot of ways this could go. Now, this isn't like a fantasy world. It feels like our world. There are fantasy elements. There is a demon running around here, and sometimes they see glimpses of the demon, or what they think is a demon. So there are fantasy elements, but this is not like a fantasy story where they just see demons all the time. It's like, yeah, my neighbor Greg sold his soul to a demon, you know, that was a whole thing. They had a demon running around their house for a while, everyone knew about it. It's not like a world where demons are like a real thing that everyone sees all the time. Now, these are religious people, and so maybe, like, technically, like, hypothetically, you do believe in the concept of a demon, but I feel like someone would still be like, demons aren't, like real, like, we can't talk to them. Like, sure, they're there, and they influence us, perhaps, but, like, our grandfather, our father didn't literally speak to a demon and make a deal with a demon. That's crazy talk. Or you can have the pastor who's like, my father was a pastor, I'm a preacher, we are not devilish people, we are men of God, my father would never do this, he was a charitable man, you're slandering him, this is all fake. There's even no greedy, like, that's not gonna fucking hold up in court, this is not the real will, show me the will, what do I get, what's my inheritance? This is a senile old man rambling in his last days because he changed the will from his last days. And, like, he changed it. What? He wants us to murder each other? Do you think that's gonna hold up in court? That I had to murder my brother to get my inheritance? I don't think so. I'm gonna go to jail. That's ridiculous. Go get the old copy of his will that he wrote before he went senile this is not gonna hold up in court. I want my fucking money and my house and my car, whatever. And there's also no one who's like, oh my god, there's a fucking demon. Like, we gotta kill this fucking demon. No one's reacting strongly to this at all, in any way. And there's so many ways to react to this. Like, what the fuck? And it feels like no one even, like, tries to find out who the demon is. They have to find out who the demon is, and then they also have to name it. And the grandfather can't write down the name, because, I don't know, magic. But he's left, like, clues as to who it is. And the clues are these cassette tapes, which we don't start finding until, like, 60% of the way through the book. That was the most interesting part of the book, is when we have these cassette tapes and we actually, like, have clues to follow. But for the most part, no one really gives a fuck. They're all locked in this house because there's a storm, so they're all staying together. They can't really get away. And our main character is really the only one even slightly interested in finding clues. But even she's not freaking out and being like, oh my god, like, I have to kill the fucking demon. I don't want to be damned. I don't want my whole family to be damned. Like, I hate them, but, like, not that much. Or, you know, or, like, my grandfather really wanted me to kill this demon. And I really love my grandfather. I gotta do this for him. Nothing. She's just like, I mean, I guess I'll look for clues. Trapped in the house. Why not? And then when she starts finding the tapes, that's when sort of everyone else kind of gets in on the clues, now that there's actual fucking clues to find. But for the most part, everyone else is just kind of like, nah, I don't really give a fuck. Until someone brings up the demon, and they're like, no, maybe you're the demon, I'm not the demon. But it's just like, no one really is frantic about this in any capacity. No strong feelings from anyone anyway. Why? That's not very interesting. Doesn't feel very realistic, and that's just not like a horror novel. This wasn't very horrific. There's moments like when you do see the demon, those rare moments, but for the most part, not overly exciting or fantastical. And I wouldn't really call this gothic horror at all. It's really like just contemporary family stuck in a house horror. Kind of reminded me of Knives Out. I didn't like Knives Out. I think it's really fucking poorly paced. I think the script of Knives Out is, like, fucking terrible, to be honest. Don't get me started. I think Knives Out is one of the most overrated movies ever. And this wasn't really Knives Out in tone. It was Knives Out in the sense that it's a family reading a will, stuck in a house, and also there's a maid there. And all the characters are really fucking two-dimensional because there's kind of too many of them. And you don't really get deep insights into any of them except for the main character. And the maid, who was the main character in Knives Out. That probably would have been a better choice of main character in this book as well. Because our main character doesn't really give a fuck about any of these people or anything that is happening, to be honest. Which is just not that interesting. The maid at least did give a fuck. She gave some fucks. She had some secrets. She was doing some things. And I think that would have been much more interesting to follow internally. So I just kind of found this boring, to be honest. The main character wasn't super passionate or revengeful. There was like one-off line in the beginning, I think, if I was listening correctly, where the main character does say that she's autistic, that like never comes up again. And so maybe this kind of more detached tone, you could argue, is a stylistic narrative choice to sort of represent someone with autism. I'm gonna be honest, I think it was just poor writing. But, like, if you argued that, I wouldn't necessarily dismiss you. I think you could make a case for that if you really wanted to. But was that successful? Again, we don't really get any mentions of autism ever again. So it's not, like, the greatest autistic rep I've ever read. I have read other autistic rep books. It's also just not interesting. And that can be done interestingly. It didn't feel like a narrative choice that was, like, a really strong narrative voice. It just felt like nothing. And even the writing itself is like boring at times. Not even just in like the internality of the character. It's sometimes just like, I don't know, I woke up, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm walking to the bathroom. Like, the writing style is just like not that interesting. Every once in a while there's some prettier language. And I'm like, oh, that's better. But for the most part, it's like, it's kind of bland. Compliments to give. Again, the race stuff. The race commentary. Also, the ending is kind of exciting. It wasn't exactly what I expected. There are some twists I didn't predict. And I'll say the action goes right up to the end, which is basically the only time there is action. But, like, the final climactic scene's pretty good. It ends a little abruptly, but that's more interesting than it being like a really slow kind of ending like the rest of the book was. So there's some action at the end. I didn't hate the end. Whatever. It was more interesting than the beginning. So that it had that going for it. But that's about it. It wasn't like the worst thing I've ever read in my life. It didn't have like glaring plot holes from what I was paying attention to of the plot. Except like the main character being like, I can't believe I didn't know this about this person I haven't spoken to in 10 years. Of course you didn't know that. What are you talking about? But plot wise, structurally, it's fine. It didn't blow me away. I was really hoping for more. I'd really like stories that take place in a small time frame and in a small location, like people trapped in a house and they have 12 hours to do this task. That should be like really exciting. And it should like lead to like this boiling point moment where like everything goes to shit, which I guess it does. But like the build up's not very good. Although I guess there is some build up, like sometimes a demon attacks and people get injured or like whatever. I guess that part's okay. But I've seen that done better in other books. This just didn't thrill me, sadly. And also it wasn't gay. That wouldn't have fixed it. Shiomara and Naomi making out in like the pantry wouldn't have fixed this book, you know what I mean? But that might have captured my attention a slight bit more. But it wouldn't have fixed the book. And it doesn't really work with the ending at all, so whatever. This was definitely in the 1 to 2 star range. I gave it 1.5. 1 feels kind of mean, but I also didn't like it and wouldn't recommend it, so I don't know. This felt like weak writing. I'm a little scared to read some of this author's other books now, because I know some of the others are queer, and they are on my TBR as well. And maybe those will be more interesting to me, but I'm a little scared of the writing quality. But maybe not. Maybe that's a bad assumption. I don't like to judge authors by one book, unless it's really, really, really exceptionally awful. So I probably will try this author again. I hope it works out. But this one was a miss for me. Not my thing. I don't know. Maybe a me issue, but I think there were some writing issues as well. Well, that's it. Sorry for putting this in my most recommended lesbian books of the year video. If you read this because I said it was highly anticipated and gay, I'm so sorry. I have duped you. Hopefully none of you did that. That one's on me, and also whoever marked this as lesbian on Goodreads, you liar. They probably also got duped. I don't know, whatever. Sorry. Sorry. Have a good night.